lessons ago.
Action.
Okay.
We're recording now.
We had a comment which is basically the Augustus of Prima Porta is not significant to the understanding of Augustus's power and image. And the question was, to what extent is that comment correct? Okay. Now, we started answering this. We said, the Augustus of Prima Porta is incredibly significant in portraying Augustus's power and image throughout the ancient world. Okay?
So get in. Get up.
So,
stand at the booth.
We have now made a direct answer to the question, okay? We have contradicted the question. We have gone against it. That comment said that the Augustus of Prima Porta is not significant. We're saying it is significant. Okay? We have made the first step. Where do we go from here?
Oh, so when you start describing the statue itself and how it significantly represents...
Okay, so what we can do is we can start now describing the statue itself. Now be careful, this is not an English or an art one. I don't need a full-blown description of what the statue looks like and things like that.
So I can't...
Okay, what you might do, however, is get some context.
Yes.
Okay, so what we could say, the statue found in the, where was it found?
Prima Porta.
Yeah, but
in the back garden of Augustus' third wife, Lydia.
what was the place in which it was discovered? It's a specific type of building. Starts with a V. A villa. Okay? So, the statue found in the villa of, who was the specific person? Livia Drusilla. Okay? The statue found in the villa of Livia Drusilla, Augustus' third wife, is what? Special word starting with S. You've definitely heard it in English. Significant, I like it, but not that one.
It's symbolic.
Symbolic, not symbolical. Of the images and intentions Augustus tried to convey to the Roman public to enhance his power and image.
Yeah. So I have to link it back to the syllabus.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Always, always, always back to the syllabus. And helps us so can spell enhance.
So would memorizing the syllabus help? Or?
Would memorising the syllabus help?
Yes, remember keywords.
Not really. You could spend your time better.
Yeah.
Okay? The important thing is that if you got given a question from one point in the syllabus, you could know what is attached to that point in the syllabus. But just being able to remember the wording in the syllabus, you could spend your time better elsewhere. Okay? So, our first two sentences. The Augustus of Prima Porta is incredibly significant in portraying Augustus' power and image throughout the ancient world. The statue, found in the villa of Livia Drusilla, Augustus' third wife, is symbolic of the images and intentions Augustus tried to convey to the Roman public to enhance his power and image. So what we're saying is, this statue represents a lot of the things that Augustus was trying to say about himself to the Roman public? Okay? What do you think we're going to be doing next then? Why don't we talk about the things that he was trying to convey to the Roman public and how the statute actually shows that? Okay? Now, I know you guys have been all brought up with Peel. Okay? And you all go, oh, there's a specific way you have to put explanation for example or example for explanation. I don't care which one that you do. Okay? I, for example, tend to prefer putting example for explain, but that's just because that's how I do it. Okay? Ultimately, what makes the difference is that you're using the correct terminology and that your paragraph makes sense. Peel is just a way for you to helpfully organise it. If you've got different ways, that's fine. Two things are undebatable though. You need to have a point at the start of your paragraph to tell me what that paragraph is going to be about, and you need to have a link at the end. Everything else in between, you can throw additional stuff, you can throw a couple of different E's in there, but it all turns out the same in the end. Okay? So, what would we like to talk about the statute? Someone give me something that we can talk about.
Could we describe the symbolism of the gods on the cuirass?
Absolutely we can. Okay, so let's discuss the symbolism of the gods on the cuirass.
And then link it back to how Augustus used that.
Yeah.
To make it. Alright.
Okay, so let's have a look here. What are we going to start the sentence off with? How about two simple words?
Oh, Augustus's cuirass on the statue.
Have we got like linking words there?
No. For example. Oh, I mean that's used for example.
Why not? If it makes sense, simple is almost always better than just making it needlessly complicated. Okay? Ultimately, I want to be able to look at your answer and go, I know exactly what Vivian's talking about, and she's hitting the point on the head. Okay? For example, the various gods, such as,
Sol.
very good, Sol, and who was next to Sol on the cuirass? Caelus. For example, the various gods such as Sol and Caelus on, what was it on?
Cuirass.
The cuirass.
So if we get a question like this, do they show us a picture of the source or no?
Not always.
Not always.
Not always. Sometimes they can just sort of give you a description and go for it. For example, the various gods such as Sol and Caelus on the cuirass of the statue what now?
Symbolize.
Okay.
So would gods be capital or can you just put it on the screen?
Lower G is fine. Okay. It tends to be, if you're talking plural, it's gods with a lower G. If you're talking in a religious sense and you're monotheistic, as in you only believe in one God, it's capital G. Okay? But this time it's okay to do lower G. Okay? So the cuirass of the statue symbolizes what?
Symbolizes Augustus's power within. No.
It symbolizes the support or how the gods support Augustus.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And linked to religious power.
For example, the various gods such as Sol and Caelus on the cuirass of the statue symbolizes the gods and, because we want to use the letter of Hermes here, religious for the what of Augustus?
Liverpool. No?
Starts with R, four-letter word. Rule. For example, the various gods, such as Sol and Caelus on the cuirass of the statue, symbolises the gods and religious support for the rule of Augustus. Okay? We've got our explain. We've got our example. Now we go further on explain. So how are we going to further explain this?
When we talk about why Augustus did it himself? Yeah.
Give me an example.
Hold on. Augustus's design.
Keep in mind, this whole thing's about power and image. Okay? So explain why he did this.
It's propaganda.
Okay. This form of what type of propaganda?
Artistic.
Religious.
Yeah, religious.
Oh.
We can say it again. Okay. This form of religious propaganda was a key facet. So we all know what facet means. Means from the derivative face, so an aspect or a part. Okay? This form of religious propaganda was a key facet of Augustus's attempt to, what was he trying to do with his rule? Special word, we've used it a lot. L. Yes, okay. This form of religious propaganda was a key facet of Augustus's attempt to legitimize his rule. This form of religious propaganda was a key facet of Augustus's attempt to legitimize his rule. Do we want to say anything else on that one? Oh, come back.
Oh, go around.
Go around, sunshine. Thank you.
Just because the camera's there.
My buddies are all
This form of religious propaganda was a key facet of Augustus' attempt to legitimize his rule. What are we forgetting? What are we moving away from? Power and image, yes, but also the question itself. Because the question's about what?
Whether the statue was insignificant portrayed.
The statue is the key part of this question, okay? And we don't want to move too far away from it by just going into this massive dialogue about religious propaganda in Augustus' rule, okay? So, this form of religious propaganda was a key facet of Augustus' attempt to legitimize his rule. And the prima porta statue is a key and significant example of how it was achieved. Probably bad English there, it's a massive sentence. So, this form of religious propaganda was a key facet of Augustus' attempt to legitimize his rule, and the prima porta is a key and significant example of how it was achieved. I have now gone back to the question. I've come full circle, okay? And I've said it's about religious propaganda, Okay? He's doing this, it's on cuirass, Sol and Kalis are there. And this is why the statute is significant. Okay? You can't just brush it off and say it's insignificant. Okay? Now, if this was a typed essay at home, okay, I would suggest doing another point onto that paragraph, okay, because you can make it bigger. If this was a written examination and you're trying your little hearts out trying to write as much as you can, I'd add a bit more to this point already made, okay, maybe 2 sentences more, then link it, okay? Because if you're trying to handwrite what you would normally type in your essays, your hand is going to die. Yeah. Okay? How much does anybody know the amount of words we tend to expect on a 25-mark question?
1,000,
1,000 to 1,200. Okay? If you want like a solid good mark. Okay? That's generally how much. If you're putting it into pages, two A4 pages.
Handwritten or?
That's typed. 2 A4 pages of typed.
Handwritten isn't it like 5?
With Nessa pages, it tends to be something along the lines of 5 to 8. Okay, but Nessa pages are small. Yeah. Okay, they've got like massive margins on the side and only a little bit of space to actually write. With the pages that we give you for the trials in this school, the margins aren't so big. Some of you might have seen them already. 3 to 4? 3 to 4. Okay, that's handwritten. Unless you're writing something like in massive handwriting, then yeah, of course you're going to use more paper. Another important thing to remember with the HSC is I need to be able to read your handwriting. Okay? Now, when we're doing the trials, Mr. Sullivan and I will try our best to decipher your handwriting. But when it comes to the HSC, you've got to remember there's a marker there. They've already read 50 other scripts by the end of that day. They get to yours, they can't read what you're writing. They've only got a couple of minutes to go through each script. If they can't read what you're writing, they're just going to go, well, I'm not getting the point. Okay? There will be no malice or no evil about it, you just won't get the point. Okay? Thank you, dear. Just go around that side. Alright. So that's what we would do. Sorry, yes?
How do you improve your handwriting?
How do you improve your handwriting? Girls, there's only one way to improve your handwriting. Practice. Okay? And I will say this, I know when I was in HSC, there's always like these guys that go, I've got a quick fix solution. And what they used to do, they used to get a pen and they used to sticky tape a D battery to it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay? And they're like, oh, it's going to build up my muscle strength, so when I get to the HSC, it's going to be like nothing.
Yeah.
All that does is you get used to writing with a pen with a freaking D battery on it, so when you get to the HSC, you got this light as pen and you go like that. Find pens that you're used to, cheap ones, okay, that you can buy by the 100. Officeworks had a deal amazing the other month, $5, 100 pens. Okay, just Bics. Okay, they work the same as anything else. Okay, I have a fancy pen at the moment because, well, I can afford it and because I don't write as much as I did in the HSC. I wouldn't be writing the fancy pen in the HSC. Buy cheap pens, have about 6 of them with you on exam day, and learn to write with those pens. Okay, that's it. There's nothing else that you can do. It's just practice, practice, practice. Okay? Much like how an athlete would practice every day to get that tiny second a bit faster in a running or swimming race, that's all you've got to do. I know when I did my HSC, for I think about 2 months beforehand, I used to get to school every day at around about 6:30 or 7. I'd smash out a practice essay for English, hand it to my English teacher, the poor woman. She had to look at so many of them. And then that's how I'd start my day. I was a very slow writer. But after 2 months of doing that, it definitely picked up. You also learn with that how to answer a question. Because that's the other thing that a lot of you might die on if you don't practice. We see it a lot with the S kids. What they do is they go, I've got it all. I know the answer. I've researched and studied this. They get a question and they vomit what they've learned onto that paper, but they don't change it according to the question.
They don't actually answer the question.
That's right. They just remember what they wrote previously and then they get a sound and they get surprised. Okay? It actually tends to be on this one, funnily enough. The T kids and the A's do the best in getting unknown questions.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're used to sort of using their brains and not just rote learning.
Good.
Okay? So, keep in mind the question and try to answer unknown questions. With you guys it's a bit harder because there's only one previous practice paper for you guys to practice on, which is last year's one, because it's the new syllabus. But you can use the other ones because some of their questions are similar.
So is that HSC or prelim?
HSC.
So
Prelim would be the same.
So could you give us last year's prelim?
I'll ask Mr. Sullivan for it because I didn't teach ancient history last year.
Alright. Is it the same topics though?
More or less. More or less. Okay? So we would sort of link that one up a bit more, get a couple more sentences in it, and because I've worded some of those things awkwardly, you're looking at a high band 5, low band 6 for that response. Okay? If that, all the paragraphs are like that. Okay? It wouldn't be a high band 6 because it's not very fluid, and that's just my poor English this morning. Okay? And also the fact that I actually forgot about this paragraph and I had to suddenly remember what a whole bunch of these things were. Okay? But if you're studying for an exam, that's not what's going to happen for you. Okay?
Unless you blank in exams.
Unless you blank, and I've actually had this conversation many times. People keep on asking me, sir, what do I do if I'm horrible with exams and I just blank when I get there? There is one solution to that. Only one.
You make up everything.
No, you don't make up. What you do is when you're at home and when you're at school, you practice timed exams. Okay? And what I mean by that is a 25 marker question, you have 40 minutes to answer in an examination. Okay? You give yourself a 25 marker question and you say, I've got 40 minutes to answer it, and you try your best. Because that's what a lot of people sort of with the exam, they see the time, they see the new question and they go, and then they blank. Even better, have your friends write questions for you that you don't know, exchange them with each other and go with each other, you've both got 40 minutes, off you go. That's an exam scenario. You don't know what the question is and you've got time. If you can build yourself up from that, you're good. Okay? Because that's the only way you're going to do it. It's just practice. Okay? And that will stop you from blanking. I mean, there's also mental health things that can help you, such as just basically breathing in an exam. Because what's happening when you're in an exam, you're going, and your brain is sort of starving itself of oxygen. Okay? Deep breathing and remaining calm. Okay? A couple of meditation techniques wouldn't go wrong for you. Okay? Capital. All right. Girls, can you get your readings out from last lesson? Anyone that did not have the readings from last lesson? Did you watch the Ray Gestae stuff I put up on YouTube? The lesson's all there, the link's there, okay, so you can watch it. Uno, dos, tres, right, cuatro, no. Yes. Oh, thank you. I'll also mark the roll now.
Oh,
Before Miss Emmanuel kills me. This chair is very small. Flynn is not here. Miss Buck is, Miss Hayburn is, Miss Hooper is, Miss Asako is not, Miss Kamat is, Miss Sa is, Miss Call, I swear I saw Miss Call. I must be going mad. Miss Kumar is, Miss Peter is, Shu is, Miss Farmer, yes, Miss Washington, yes, and Miss Wynn, no. Very good. Alright, girls. That reading, I gave you a task to do, and I believe I also put it down in Google Classroom as well, the instructions. I lied. Did I lie?
I didn't see it working.
Oh, I did lie, or I did put it down? Oh, yes!
Really?
Finally, so remembered.
How did I miss it?
Well, Miss Kassar, you know, you thought you were good.
Wait, let me see.
Alright, so, let's go. Fourth. Win.
Oh, you did? Oh, no, you did, sir. Sorry, I'm blind.
Well, that makes two of us.
I didn't read that section of your post.
Okay. Now, Miss Kashu, did I see that you took a photo of that paragraph? Can you please put that up in Google Classroom after this class, please? Thank you. Oh, although I do have the video anyway.
Yeah.
Picture's still good. It'll come in high quality.
So stay at the board.
No, you stay at the board.
No, so for the sake of filming. For the sake of my review.
For the sake of your move.
Yes.
Alright, so, can you please put your hand up if you have actually done what I requested in the readings?
Please wipe that off.
Yeah, I will. It reminded me of a student I had a couple of years ago. She'd absolutely lose it if there was any sort of marking left on the
So
board.
you'll leave one on purpose,
I did used to leave some of it on purpose.
So.
God bless her. Alright, there's two of you that have actually done what I've requested. Shame on the rest of you.
Wait, two people? I wasn't even gonna do it. I just did it on one.
Alright, here's what I need. Okay? The rest of you, I will need you to do what I already requested. Okay, I'll put the instructions up there in a second. Okay, ignore geography, obviously you're not doing it. Okay? Those of you that have done it, I'll give you an extension question. I know, so much excitement. Okay? And you're going to do that. Okay? So, boop, 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 boop. Let's go, let's go. Ah! Alright, that's the instructions for the reading. So, zoom in. Okay? Now, for those lovely people that have done it,
Yay. Actually, no, tell you what, pills are good.
pills are good, because that's how you're going to get practice. So is it just you two? Sonia, did you also do it as well? Did I see your hand up? I swear I saw someone from that table. Oh, Miss Buck. Alright.
Oh, you're getting it off of that?
No, you're going to use this for your answer. Ah.
I don't even know how to hit them.
Assess the value. Yes.
Veritable means like valid, right?
What, sorry?
Veritable?
Veritable means variety, choice. What's the sentence that's used in?
There's veritable evidence for what it records.
So basically it's saying lots of evidence. Yeah.
Assess
Okay.
the value.
Assess the value of the array Gestae in propagating an image. Now keep in mind, there is a couple of key words there, okay? First of all, we have assess. Now let's go quickly over to the Nessa glossary, which we all know and love.
No.
And we should all be using this, girls. We should all be using the Nessa glossary.
Do we have to memorize the decibel too?
No. Oh yes, probably.
Assess. Make a judgment of value, quality, outcomes, results, or size. Okay?
So it says here, assess the value, so make a judgment of the value.
Yeah. Okay? So make a judgment of the value. Okay? Yes.
Do you have a highlighter or?
I do, I think. Yes. Lucky you. Oh. You don't have to highlight if you don't have a highlighter. You can just do something else. Okay? Assesses the judgment. What's parent image? Starts with a C.
Content.
Mm-mm.
Control.
In regards to this question, it's the
Exactly.
Control.
Explain.
criteria.
Ah, okay.
Okay? Because that is the criteria that you're using to make your judgment. Okay? So you are judging what the value of it was in propagating the power and image. So did it do it? Okay? Now also keep in mind,
The impact.
not limited to Rome itself. Okay? Because if you read the readings, where was that found?
Every.
Everywhere. Where did they find it in particular?
Libya.
Libya?
Somewhere in the Middle East.
If memory serves, it was in Turkey.
Yeah.
Okay? Galatia and Anatolia. Okay? Therefore, what does that show you?
That Augustus wanted to prove his power and image all over the world.
All over the world. Okay? And the fact that it was mass produced, which helped him portray his power and image. Okay? So there's a lot of things that you can write there. Also keeping the word propagating, which is of course a derivative of propaganda. Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Arusha. Okay? Try and answer it the best you can. Don't bother with an intro. Go straight into the guts of the body paragraph. Okay? I will be back in 2 seconds. Keep in mind, Ray Gestae is made posthumously, meaning after death.
But it's written by Augustus looking at it.
Is it?
Because he says at the time of writing in my 76 year.
Someone's writing it for him autobiographically. He also would have been recording his details as he's going along. But it's definitely released posthumously. great outside. Positive or negative things about it?
Possible.
Absolutely. Do you remember last lesson? You were here last lesson. Do you remember what omission means? Or omit? Yeah, it's not a lie, but you definitely haven't said the whole truth either. Okay? That's what the right Gestae is really good at. Okay. Can you remember some of the parts that it omits? Because he inherited it, something else. Maybe that
Yeah.
became and stick out a couple of people from the side. The smart people name of get mentioned.
Minus 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look what he's saying, whatever he is, okay? Name never gets mentioned. Okay? These are all parts of the mission. What's the effect of never mentioning his name?
To make them seem
Less important, and by effect making Augustus seem more powerful. He basically says, do you know who should have seen that? Do you know what his name was? Something Bruce.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
what happened to Bruce?
It's good though.
Do you remember what happened?
My favorite? Alright.
Mark Anthony and David, they killed him. They killed him in battle. Okay. So, do you think Anthony's name was mentioned? So what does that mean?
Chunky is very good. My issue is just
I did it all by myself. Everyone was so lazy, you know. Okay.
And mistakes. So,
That's what it's all about.
it's really fast and
It's
bad.
all about making Augustus
It
good,
is.
and everyone else
So yeah,
supports.
why I was leaving
Okay.
blah, 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 blah.
Pretty much
You need to explain
what
what
they
you're trying
said
to
in this section here.
say.
Okay. This section is all
Yeah, but
about
what's the sense?
weird historical
The
stuff
same
that you
percent
need
of
to
it.
know. The main part you need to
Why
know
was
is
it
this section.
why just
Everywhere. This one is they're not lying, but they're certainly not telling the whole truth. Okay?
No, not the Senate clothes. It's not the Senate clothes. The temple.
Alright.
Well, why is it a good thing?
Because the temple was to be closed when there was peace.
Yes. And it's a very, very important thing. Okay?
Okay, then you did good.
Yeah.
Good
The
job.
Temple of Janus, when it's closed, means the empire is at peace, and it's, as you might imagine, very rarely closed. Okay? So when Augustus closes that temple doors, why is it very significant in the first place? What has been taking place for the past 50 years before this? What type of war? Civil war. Okay? The fact that Augustus closes the Temple of Janus basically says, I've brought peace. What type of peace? Pax Romana, Roman peace. Okay? So, let's have a look at this. Okay? First of all, I am very much aware, girls, the first section is horrific in terms of language.
Yes.
Okay?
It sounds like me bullshit.
Look, even I'll be honest, even I was looking through it and I had to Google to find some of the words. Okay, so it's okay if you struggle to get through that one. Okay? Can somebody summarise what the first page is trying to say though? What's the main message that they're trying to convey there? Sarah?
In order to look at to find the meaning of the Gestae, you need to look at the historical context instead of just reading it. And it was like a narrative of what Augustus wanted people to remember his era as.
Exactly right, okay. So the main thing that they've looked at here is they basically said you can't just read it and take it at face value. Okay? You have to think about the context in which it was made. Okay? Now, as I was just saying to Zeta over there, okay, The other thing that is important in saying is you have to remember the audience that it's presented to. Because very often as historians, we sort of just look at it, read the content, go, yeah, but we don't think about the person that was meant to be reading it in the first place. Okay? So who's meant to be reading the Re Gestae?
Historian.
Historians?
At that point in time?
At that point in time, yeah.
People that were literate.
People that were literate, okay? Everyone, okay? Not everyone, because it's not literate, but just because the world is only 1 to 5% literate at that time doesn't mean that these wouldn't have been read out to other people. Okay? Yeah, town crier, exactly right. Okay? There's another really important point in that paragraph about who is reading it, and it's about who it was distributed to. Who was it distributed to? Every major city, pretty much. It was distributed throughout the empire. So the point that they're trying to make here is you have to remember who's it meant to be read by, and it's meant to be expanded or propagated all throughout the empire, because they want everyone to basically acknowledge that Augustus was a great person. Do you think Augustus might have had an additional benefit? Keep in mind, this is pushed out after he's dead. Why does he care for things after he's dead?
Because he still wants to seem powerful after he dies, similar to Caesar.
There are reasons that he wants to seem powerful though.
He wants
I think the word you're looking for is successor.
Yeah, he wants his successor to have a valid claim to the throne.
Exactly, okay, because who comes after Augustus? Tiberius. Tiberius is going to lean pretty heavily on Augustus's memory. Because...
And the son of the great.
Yeah, exactly, because Augustus, how many years of peace does he provide the Roman Empire?
45.
45 years of Roman peace. Now, there's little wars happening here and there, but not the big ones like the civil ones were. Okay? Tiberius now comes to the throne, and unlike Augustus, he has not defeated a whole host of enemies that he can go, I am important, you should worship me. He has to lean on his adoptive dad's legacy, which is what the Re Gestae is really useful for, because... Exactly right, he's cashing it in. Okay? And he's relying on it, and that's what the Re Gestae is really useful for. Power and image, which is then passed through to Tiberius. Zeta?
What's the difference between like normal war and civil war?
So, normal war is taking place outside of the country. So it might be the Roman Empire versus Egypt. A civil war is when two or more people inside the empire its actual self are warring against each other. So to put it in context, it would be like Australians fighting against Australians, okay, rather than us fighting against Germany.
So Cronulla Riot.
Cronulla Riot, yeah. So
Like
that's a civil disturbance, not a civil war, okay? We've got to be careful of that one, because there's a lot of talk of civil war going around at the moment,
Yeah.
okay?
So with Tiberius's, he's succeeding Augustus, would that be like Augustus opens a really successful restaurant and Tiberius becomes the manager?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Alright,
Augustus retires.
so let's go on to the second section, okay? What's our summary here? What are they trying to do in this section? This section was considerably less wordy.
They're showing how Augustus wanted his heir to be shown and that he's omitted certain events to make it look like a more peaceful era than it actually was.
Yes, okay, and which is what we were saying last lesson as well. It's not that Augustus lies, but he certainly omits, okay?
What does Hellenistic mean?
Hellenistic, okay? Keep in mind, there is no word for Greek in this time. Greece is not a nation at this point.
Outsider?
Hellenic effectively means
Greek.
of Greek culture or origin.
So every word.
No, Hellenic normally refers to culture rather than specific words. Okay, so our language is certainly Hellenic inspired. And the reason we don't just say Greek at the moment is because there wasn't an idea of a unified Greece at this time, but there was an idea of a culture that was spread around the world. And Hellenic places could stretch as far as India, okay, in terms of Bactria, modern day Pakistan and Kazakhstan, I think.
Is it the same idea how Germany wasn't united, but there were several Germans?
Exactly, okay. Germany wasn't united until just before the 1900s, but there was certainly a German identity, okay? A German language that was spoken all throughout. Hellenic is just sort of that idea of Greek culture, all right? So the second page is all about basically how he does it. Its purpose is to make him look